truth, talking change, talking all that's real. We turn it up real.
Welcome, sisters. Welcome to our program On Target. And as soon as the clock struck 12, On Target is on the road. We on 94.9, that is We Noise FM in Brooklyn, New York. Real FM 91.9 and 91.5. And we encourage you to like our program, share our program, and subscribe to Real FM. Give us a blind. Help us to grow. Every time you subscribe to our program and you like our program, you open new doors for us. Give us an opportunity to grow. Yes, somebody may want to open the button this morning before I say anything. You know, I always give you an opportunity. What you have to say take precedent over what I have to say. So I always give you that opportunity to express yourself, to make your comments. There's a lot trending all over the world. If we speak in the Caribbean, some individuals have been taking punch shot at Carmela Bisesa in Trinidad and Tobago, the Prime Minister of Trinidad. I agree with some aspect what she say. In other aspect, I believe she could have been a little bit more conservative in her thoughts. But I chastise CARICOM. When this issue developed with CARICOM and Venezuela was showing excessive aggressiveness and even making preparation, as we believe, to invade Guyana, CARICOM was not strong enough. CARICOM should have taken a position that the matter should be settled in the international court. And they should make no means about it that they do not support the invasion of Guyana. Guyana is a part of CARICOM. And that's why I always believe CARICOM have failed us in the sense that they have not been a broker for peace. They always taking sides. You taking sides in war, you can win. You taking sides in conflict, you cannot advance argument for. Russia invaded a sovereign country, Ukraine. Some Caribbean countries supported Russia. You should be clear. Yes, scholar, welcome.
Mr. Pierre, good afternoon, sir.
Yes, scholar.
Yes, I would like to deal a bit with the situation with Israel.
Go right ahead.
So, there are some of us that, sorry, I shouldn't say us because I'm not part of that. There are some people who I would refer to the modern day pharaohs that are spreading out a slander against Israel. And what they are trying to do is to mislead the Grenadian people. First, the Arabs or the Muslims, they hate Christians, they hate Jews. And their doctrine is that they would kill out every single Jew. And when it comes to the Christians, if you are not converted, they will destroy you. Now, one of the propaganda that the enemies of Israel is spreading out there is that they are calling the Israeli people, the Jewish people, Zionists. Now, the Jewish people are Zionists. Well, some say that they call others ignorant and say that they are not doing research. But if we look at Psalms 137, the introduction to Psalm 137 clearly states, longing for Zion in a foreign land. Now, it starts off by saying, by the rivers of Babylon, there we sat, yea, we wept. When we remember Zion, we hung, by the rivers of Babylon, there we sat down, yea, we wept and remember Zion. We hung our harps. upon the willows in the midst of it. For there those who carry us away captive require of us a song, and those who plundered us require of us mirth, saying, sing us one of the songs of Zion. So if Zion is not your homeland, if you is not a Zionist, imagine that the Babylonian was asking the children of Israel to sing them one of the songs of their homeland. So what I'm urging people to do, go and read, study Psalm 137 and see if the children of Israel are not Zionists. The next thing about it is that the land of Israel belongs to the Jewish people. If we read Amos 9:15, Amos 9:15 says, I will plant Israel in their own land, never again to be uprooted from the land I gave them. So the God that created heavens and earth, he gave this land to Israel, to the Jewish people. And he said that they will never be uprooted again. Another Bible verse to look at is Jeremiah 33. It says, for behold, the days are coming, declares Jehovah. Now Jehovah is the name of the God of Israel. He said, I will restore from captivity my people Israel and Judah. And he said that I will restore them in the land that I gave to them, that I gave to their fathers, and they will possess it. Now, the people who are condemning the Bible and saying that people are quoting foolishness from the Bible, I want them to start quoting from the Quran to the Grenadian people, to the Christians. For example, I want them to quote and explain what Quran 3 verse 54 says, that Allah is the best of all deceivers. I need for them to explain that to the Grenadian people. There is also a verse which I cannot remember now off my head that clearly states that the children of Abraham, the white-skinned ones will be going to heaven, and the black-skinned will be going to hell. Mr. Pierre, have a good day, sir.
Yes, scholar, and that's the trouble we're in. CARICOM countries should avoid the arguments advanced, because people have thousands of years of arguments. The Christians going to quote all what you quote there. And the left wing don't believe in God. The communists don't believe in religion. They say religion is the opium of the people. And the atheists don't believe. And the Muslims say to kill Jews and infidels. So CARICOM countries should not pick up the sword and take side in this argument, but should lobby for peace and negotiation. Yes, scholar, welcome.
Good morning, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, my brother.
I want to bless this last caller who take his stand for Israel, and I hope that the Grenadian government could understand and don't join in with the UN to vote against Israel in any circumstances again. Those that bless Israel will be blessed, and you curse them, you will be cursed. Thank him for bringing forth the scriptures and backing up what it is that we got to support Israel. Have a blessed day.
Yes, and that is the argument from those who support. But those who against, they have strong arguments too. We in the Caribbean, CARICOM leaders, should be performing as an agent of peace. Why we have all these conflicts in the world? We don't have peacemakers. We are small CARICOM countries. These arguments is going to overwhelm us. What we needed to do is to advocate for peace. But CARICOM countries take side. Some of them take the side of Ukraine. Russia invaded a sovereign country, but African and Caribbean countries back Russia. The Iran say from the river to the sea, they want the Jews dead. They say the only place for the Israelites is in the bottom of the sea. We in CARICOM should be lobbying for negotiation, peaceful engagement, And then it would have been easier for us to be a negotiator. But when we take we sword and we jump up to kill one another, then how we could negotiate? CARICOM should be negotiating between Donald Trump and Venezuela. But CARICOM takes sides. Most of them are backing Venezuela against Guyana. Trinidad said no, I backing Guyana and I support Trinidad. Trinidad said no, I backing Guyana. She said if Venezuela want to invade Guyana, she giving the US permission to use her country. Guyana don't have an army to fight Venezuela. If you believe all the oil Guyana have is a boatload of oil, Venezuela have a sea oil. But over the years, they have not made progress. Venezuela as a communist country supposed to be richer than China. They squander the opportunity, the energy, and the sacrifice their people make. Yes, scholar, welcome. Yes, scholar, punch. Come in, color, punch.
Yeah, let me get it.
Now, color, have a side discussion going on. Color, give us a call back. So you see, the left-wing countries, they're not tolerant to dissenting views. Whether it's Russia, whether it's Venezuela, whether it's China, whether it's Iran, when people disagree with them, they want to kill them. And we have to be very careful in Grenada. Because Grenada have a lot of left wing, a lot of atheists, a lot of extremists that is not tolerant to dissenting views. When you disagree with them, they see you as the enemy. They use drones to intimidate Jenny Simon. And now they want to stretch her in the court. They use all kind of other unorthodox method to restrain and destroy those who are speaking. We must take warning in Grenada. Over 5,000 people were jailed in Grenada. Maurice Bishop signed the order for 3,113. Yes, scholar, welcome.
Yes, Mr. Pierre. The problem is that Venezuela has made its infrastructure, as far as oil is concerned, go down to the dogs. It is deplorable, right? And they're in serious problems. And the only person that can really help them to build that up is two countries. Either China, because China has the money that they can do it, or America. America, on the other hand, is not going to sit back there and watch a China walk into Venezuela and do that. And I agree with America 100%. And the poor problem is this, that you have a country as Venezuela that has so much oil coming out of the ground, right, that they can't even get at because the infrastructure is so bad, right? And they want to go and invade Guyana. They want to tell Suriname, hey, you can't go and drill offshore. This, that, and the next. You understand? This is not fair. And I think that the CARICOM countries should band together and say, listen to Venezuela. Listen, you have to stop it right now. Guyana is part of us. Guyana is part of us. Okay? And we're not going to sit back and let you just simply walk into Guyana and threaten Guyana and all that foolishness and nonsense. Okay? Is it either you straighten up and you get your act together, or else we are going to help the Americans to come to deal with you. Okay? End of the story. Right? We're not going to interfere with you if you don't interfere with one of our sisters and brothers. We're not going to interfere with you. But if you decide, you know what, you are going to attack one of our sisters and brothers, we're going to have a problem. We're going to have a straight out problem. Right? Because little Guyana does not deserve that. And Maduro has to understand that he's not no big bad bully in the West. You understand? America is the big bad bully. Let's not worry about that. You understand? And all the people in Venezuela are leaving and going to the United States in droves. right? He's treating his people nasty. Okay, they're coming in the United States in droves. Those people are suffering. Those people are going through. I forgot the name of the path to get to America. That is the most dangerous bush country that you could find in South America, just to come to America, and that is no good for a country that has all that resources to be able to exploit the people like that. So I think that what has to happen is that Venezuela has to stand down, right, and give Guyana a chance. But if they don't do that, then they ought to face the consequences. Just as how you remember Dominica, Saint Lucia, Saint Vincent, Antigua, all of them came, Barbados, Jamaica came together and said, listen, it's time for this situation in Grenada to stop, and they call America, and America came in and deal with it. Is the same way we need to do about the situation in Venezuela as far as Guyana is concerned. Thank you very much, sir.
Yes, caller, welcome. Yes, caller, welcome. Caller, welcome. I don't know if he's listening to his. Try again. Call us again. CARICOM countries, we are small countries. Our economy is intertwined, is practically tied down to the US. Sometimes you can't drink bush for people fever. Socialism and communism experiment don't good because they're intolerant to dissenting views and they like to jail people. We in Grenada should be the strongest mouthpiece against the left wing, the communists and the atheists. When you disagree with them, they put you in jail. In America, you could disagree with Donald Trump. You could take Donald Trump to court. You could take anybody to court in Russia. You can't take none of the hierarchy to court in Venezuela because they control the court. So it is almost a paradox and extremely hypocritical and a warning for us when our leaders here are supporting Venezuela or supporting Russia or supporting Iran, because these countries are intolerant to dissenting views. So you have one version. You don't have the voice of the opposition clear. And in Grenada, we have to be careful because it seems there are growing the extreme left, the extremists in Grenada seems to be growing in prominence. We can't say we don't know, you know. We don't select a fake already for a leader. We see the repercussions. Corruption at its height in Grenada. A group of people that is telling lies as if it's a joke. Yes, caller, welcome.
Pierre,
Yes,
you're talking about telling lies. Can you imagine NMP calling the farmers at Grenada wicked and bad? They sell about for $20. Upon a cabbage, Mr. Pierre. 50 NMP said the people are going to sell it for $15. Mr. Pierre, that's one of the greatest set of lies.
caller, NMP not in power. Caller, listen to me. Listen to me, caller. NNP not in power. We're speaking about the government that is in power. NNP not in power. So a minister of NNP could say anything. They're not in power. And you have to face that reality.
So they could lie for people.
NDC is in power. And their lies is affecting the policy of the country. So every time we point out the lies and the negative policy of NDC, you're not responding to that, you know. You going on NNP?
Well, is them lying? Them lying the people? No. They tell people about putting no $20. Stop your way with that.
What is, all right, let me continue. What is $20 now?
$20 is a lot. But put it
Hear what I'm
inside,
asking you.
I
Listen what I'm asking you. What crop that is selling for $20 a pound now?
$20 a pound. He has no crop in Grenada.
Well, what you say they're lying about?
Because they lie. That's not happening.
Oh my God. All right, thank you, Colin. I'm trying to understand what you're saying, because you must be responding to something some member of NNP said. NNP is not in power. Deacon Mitchell has been in power for the last 3 years plus. I have said that Deacon Mitchell is telling more lies than all other political leaders put together. And I went through on a special program all the lies that people say all the leaders told post 1967. And Deacon beat them by far. And this gentleman, Deacon Mitchell, we call him the corrupter in chief. Then we expect you to ask us, why are you calling him the corrupter in chief? The government break the regulation in the Grenada Development Bank. Regulation that has been established since 1973. And the government raid the bank. These are common thieves. They're not even sophisticated. If the government was sophisticated, they would have gone in parliament and changed the regulation. So although we would have argued and say it is immoral, it would not have been illegal. But what they did, they select a corrupt board. And then they say the board let them do it. The board is corrupted. Look at some of the arguments you are hearing about in the national lottery. Look at the level of corruption we heard about in gravel and concrete. The individuals buying furniture and they don't have no furniture shop. So they turn middleman to supply gravel and concrete and a number of other issues. Look at the level of corruption that's going on in the housing. Government got $118 million. 14 days after burial pass. The government set up a new ministry, MIT, a new permanent secretary, a new minister. I don't know if they have a new SAS too. When you do that, you are deliberately setting up this ministry for corruption. So you don't have any seniority or anybody with enough knowledge to tell you that you shouldn't do that. We are hearing that the permanent secretary have money in a desk paying out 15,000 extra. You don't know if she get a vault now, he or she. I don't know which one. The level of corruption we're hearing on the ground, I mean, it just can't be. The government is corrupt. Yes, every time you say the government did this and the government did that, I'm not bothering with what the government did. This government is corrupt. They're greedy and they're corrupt. And the trend that they're going, remember, the government suspended debt payments. There was absolutely no justification to suspend the debt payment, irrespective of the fact that you had a hurricane. 14 days after, you got 118 million. Your economic base was not affected. So why did you suspend the payment of debt? I think they suspend it till 2027. So the government have money galore. Because remember, they got $118 million from Beryl 14 days after. $100 million from Saudi Arabia before Beryl. They met the treasury with over 530 something million. They said the treasury pregnant. They got over $1 billion from the sailor passport. And some of the leaders must give them a little thing. They suspend the payment of debt. And the amount of level of corruption, I hear things, you know, it saddens you. One minister that said he had under $10 in his bank account only after his first payment. I understand he said, win, lose, or draw, he fixed for life. Could you imagine? An individual was crying that after the first month payment, less than $10 remain in his bank account. He broken. He financially embarrassed. He's suffering from monetary instability. In 3 years' time, the minister said, and he's referring to the next election, win, lose, or draw, he is fixed for life. We have heard on the ground, and we said it, the sistering from God had over $600,000 in our account by 2 years. The level of corruption that going on in the country, you heard the Minister of Housing say is a disaster. You heard the cry of the Minister of Finance. He said he don't want to talk about it. Now, this is what we're speaking about. Not if the government do things, the things the government say they do, the next bag of lie, it has not been complete. And they're lying on everything. But we're speaking on corruption. When you have a government that is corrupted like that, remember they suspend the debt payment. You know. They're wallowing in money. Money is not a problem for NDC. You know. NDC have money. The government said that they're collecting more money than inland revenue projected. More money is collected than what they projected in the budget. So money is not the problem. The government have money. It's what they do with the money they have. And part of what they're doing is to pay money for good relationship. They're paying money for good relationship. It means that is bribery. Look at the amount of traveling that this government is doing. How do you justify that? In a period when technology makes it possible that you could have Zoom. You could have conversation with people where you've seen them and they've seen you. You can't touch them, but you've seen them and they've seen you. So why is it necessary for the government to travel like that? Since the government set up MIT, I've been calling for the opposition to ask to disband MIT. MIT has no place in government service. Now I'm hearing that they want to start a new housing authority. Well, they have a housing authority. They have a ministry of housing. They had MIT building house. Millions of dollars was given to the MIT individual. An individual that is widely rumored was on the point of bankruptcy. Now they're no longer in bankruptcy like the sister and the brother in Carriacou. Win, lose, or draw, they fix for life. Now, how could we stomach these things? And what is even more frightening, you have a number of people that we look upon as people who walk the straight and narrow, people who believe in accountability, transparency, and good governance, people who was very vocal in making a molehill a mountain in the previous government time. They silent. Not a word from them. When you have a government that corrupts so, your country is affected. The economy goes down a slippery slope. Productivity drops. Look at a simple thing. We have increase in electricity, increase in water. I noticed one of our biggest supplier of alcohol raised all the products, whether it's Carib, Guinness, malt, etc. They raise the prices. So the cost of living continue to go up as a result of the direct action of the government that be. Productivity would be at an all-time low, particularly in the public service. The private sector is not a very dynamic sector. They take their cue from the government. I hear stories in the private sector and sometimes you wonder what happened. I heard stories where an individual working with a company for 15 years now, and the company give them 2 weeks holiday, but they say, we ain't going to pay you for the holiday. Well, if you give the worker 2 weeks holiday, they have to get paid for it. Yes, caller, welcome.
This is the voice of one crying out in the wilderness. Senior, how are you doing?
Great, man.
Wonderful. Senior, I am very much concerned as it relates to the news that we got, as relate also to our fishermen. And it's really matter for concern because America, I believe, take at least about 80 and 90% of our fish. And then I think the income from fish, like basically, I believe I had my information right or wrong, is at over $5 million a year. And that's a lot of money from our fisher folks. Now, I am very much concerned that most of our fishermen have mortgage to pay. I know fishermen that go and take a loan, to do the house or even buy a boat. And they have to rely on the catch in order to send it out, in order to pay the mortgages. But I feel that this present administration is not really taking the bull by the horn to deal with the situation. I think it was the opposition that spoke and let them know that they must meet with the fishermen to chart the way going forward. And I think maybe a week after that, the Minister of Agriculture and the prominent Secretary, Mr. Javan Williams, met with the fishermen in a forum. But I listened to the Minister of Agriculture, and I listened to the prominent Secretary, Mr. Javan Williams. And anybody could agree with me that the meeting that held with these fishermen did not really bring hopes and answer to the fishermen, because I mean the Minister of Agriculture, I don't know. I mean, ask anybody, Miss Senior. I don't know what that man say. To be honest, it was just a waste of time to bring the fishermen there and to speak garbage to them, both the prominent secretary and the Minister of Agriculture. And you could ask anybody that. It did not, it made the thing worse, because they do not explain nothing to bring hope to the fishermen. No experience in what they are saying. It makes this situation worse for the fishermen. And to add insult into injuries, the fishermen of Pittimatnik, 90% of them trade in fish and also carico. Why an invitation was not given to the fishermen of Carriacou and Pittimatnik, so they could be a part of that meeting? And make it worse, the prominent secretary is a kayak. Secondly, before I go, Senior, I find that the Prime Minister is very quiet, and this is concern for we as citizens of Grenada, Carriacou and Pittimatnik. I am very much concerned that we have a Prime Minister that is not giving no information to the people of Grenada, Carriacou, and the Pittimatnik, and that is worrying. The Prime Minister go, sometimes you don't know when he go. And whenever you know when he go and he come, he has nothing to say to us. And yes, because he said that information is on a need to know. The question I need to ask, what information are you withholding from the people of Grenada, Carriacou and Pittimatnik? I'm very much concerned the road and direction. How we could have a Prime Minister that do not give us any information? Look what is happening presently right now as it relates to the situation in Venezuela / Trinidad, Guyana. Hey, let me tell you something, man. We don't have more to sustain ourselves. Prime Minister, you can give us some hope to tell us, hey, well, if it have a war between America and Venezuela, how that will affect Grenada. Hey, we out for some trouble, you know. I rest my case, Senior. Thank you.
One of the unfortunate situation is that very early in this game, when I read this Prime Minister, I thought he was a fake. And then you heard stories that the Prime Minister said he would not be remaining in politics long. And then you heard stories the Prime Minister said by the time he leave, you have to be a billionaire. So it appears that this group of people we have is a group of thieves. If what we hearing is true, what we have selected is a group of thieves, common thieves, not even sophisticated thieves. If one minister said, win, lose, or draw, a fix for life, that is 3 years in his stewardship. And we know for a fact that very early in his stewardship, he had less than $10 in his bank account. But now he says, win, lose, or draw, a fix for life. We know about 2 years ago, the C-string had about 600,000. We see the silence that comes from all the other ministers in the face of this level of corruption. And to add with what the Prime Minister says, it is reasonable for us to believe that the Prime Minister's main intention is to turn a billionaire at Grenada's expense. When we did some rough, unscientific calculation of the money that they're making from passport, we put it at minimum 30 million a year. Because they sell passports. This must be a conflict of interest and immoral. The Prime Minister is flying plane on government time for his personal business. That is the government we have. We have heard so much stories that we convince is a cockistocracy. Yes, scholar, welcome.
Mr. Pierre, good afternoon, sir.
Yes, scholar.
Mr. Pierre, it is very, very hard to understand, and difficult to understand, I should say, what's really going on with our country through this administration. Now, you just said something that alleged, or did the young gentleman, honorable minister, said that win or lose.
Win, lose, or draw, you fix for life.
Did he say that really?
That is the information we hear. When we ask, they don't answer the question. So we telling you how we hear it. And then we dare them to take us on. The same individual who said less than $10 in his bank account very early.
Yes.
He said win, lose, or draw. Fix for life.
But you know, we really have to, I pray God that these guys, these people, these so-called honorable persons, take their leave, because it's overbearing. They have no respect. They have no accountability. They have no honesty with regards to the public dealing with the persons who have put them in office, and all these statements that they are making, the behavior doesn't match, the office. They're supposed to be honest, and I'm not hearing my dear honorable Uncle Tilly. I'm not hearing him. He's not professing. I'm not hearing Honorable Nazim Buck. I'm not hearing.
I think we have heard that the Honorable Nazim Buck is now an agent selling passport.
Well, right, because yes, and that was one. You see, these guys are not talking. These people calling the radio station, But anyways, Mrs. Nolan Thompson, hats off to you, ma'am. You are doing a very, very, very outstanding work in the constituency of St. David. You're very concerned. And you pick up the things and the way, and you move with it, and you lobby on the behalf of the people of St. David's and Grenada on a whole. That's the way to go, my dear honorable, not honorable yet, but caretaker. That's the way to go. We're behind you. We're behind you. Sometimes there are persons who just cannot come out because of their responsibilities, but the people are behind you. And we're looking forward to seeing you and hearing more of you. You are doing a good job. Thank God for your father and your mom who have lent you to us, your husband, and so on. And continue going. Now, I just want to remind Grenadians that jump up about that pension thing. Had it not been for the Dignity New National Party, when Ms. Humilin Armstrong took the government of Grenada, well, the Attorney General, of course, an arm of the government, I think that was somewhere around 2010, when concerning some situation with the pension of the 1958 Act. I think that's 124, section 124, and the ruling was in her favor, right? And the government, after coming into office in 2013, could have appealed the case. But the government did not appeal the case. And I have to say here on the advice of Senator Chester Humphrey.
Well, you see, people have to understand that the NNP have had a load of trade union with them.
Right.
Whether he was Chester Humphrey, whether he was Clarice Charles, whether he was D. Bog, whether he was Michael Pierre, all these individuals were strong trade union leaders, so they would have greatly influenced the government in the direction they take. And that is why the NNP have always been a better government for workers.
Of course.
And I think people have to understand that.
Right. And finally, it was not based on anything that the NDC party at the time.
The NDC has always been more hostile to workers.
Right.
From day one, they have always been more hostile to workers.
Yes. So there's a caller that always says, Mr. Pierre, NDC, Dick Mitchell pay the pension.
Sometimes I really, sorry for some people where the pension is concerned, because I don't think a lot of people understand it. And sometimes I'm very tolerant with people who speak about it, because I blame the NNP government, the union, and the NDC. I don't believe we should make this issue a political issue.
No,
and that is why when Kit Mitchell said we would not challenge it in court, but we must sit down and discuss it, the NDC disagreed with it and the union followed them.
Yes.
But it was a good time, because they know the time passed. We don't challenge it in the court, but let's sit down and work it out now.
Yes.
I thought it was a glorious opportunity,
Good opportunity
for us to deal with it once and for all. But once we politicize things, we have to stand the consequence.
Anyway, Mr. Pierre, have a good afternoon.
Yes, scholar. And we have to stand the consequences of this pension issue. Because later, if it is not sustainable, one of the first things you see government going to be doing is to drop in the tax threshold. It amazed me how the union is not proactive. And then later on, you're going to hear the union crying. Because when the government dropped the tax threshold from $3,000 per up to $1,200, then more people, more of the poor have been brought into the tax bracket. The NDC government always cut social spending. They always do. That is why I always call them vultures. They always cut social spending. They tell you the government making people lazy. They're giving them handout. These are the words that come from NDC. And I always remind them that Pope John Paul, he said, you shouldn't invest in tertiary education at the expense of primary and secondary education. Yes, scholar, welcome.
Mr. Pierre.
Yes, scholar.
This scholar just put in your shape. Mr. Pierre.
Caller, listen. No, caller. When the guy that spoke correct and fair, and I agree with him. When you do that, you're making people just go after you for no justifiable reason. Go ahead.
You talking about this tax, Mr. Pierre? You talk about pension. I could give a lot of reasons why NNP didn't want to pay pension.
Caller, have you worked in the public service?
They take a life.
Caller, have you worked in the public service?
They take a life.
Caller, did you work in the public service?
I never worked with government.
I worked there for 40 years, in addition to be at the highest level in union executive.
Anyhow,
No. I think it's important for you to know. I've been in the public service for 40 years. I don't normally talk about that.
I don't know who much.
So you don't know.
What are you doing with me?
How are you speaking about it, Caller, you speaking about it.
The people talking about the fishery.
You jump from the pension to fish? Go ahead. Thank you. Welcome.
The fishery ban was supposed to take place in 2014. They tell the Prime Minister, the government of Grenada, in 2014 that had to take place. The thing had to take place.
So what the NDC did when they come 3 years ago?
They don't tell the NDC, they don't inform the government.
What did the NDC do when they come 3 years ago?
The past government, they never informed the government.
What did the NDC do when they come 3 years ago?
Well, they wasn't informed, Mr. Pierre.
That's why we don't blame them, you know. It's a group of political neophytes that don't sense.
The social partners and them, they get together and they never inform the government. When
Government has sense.
Mr. Pierre, what the NMP do? They remove all them people in fisheries.
The government has sense, Scholar. We pay. You can't blame the government, you know. They don't have sense. We can't blame them. They're not blame. The government has sense and they come threatening everybody. You know, everybody go lock down on them. They come threatening people, firing people. The president of the teachers union telling them fire them public workers union members. So how they gonna know?
The government of Grenada right now.
Go ahead, Colin. You see, when your government come inside, and we've been pointing out to them, you lack institutional knowledge. You arrogant. You greedy. You disrespectful. You're going to bring this country economy in trouble. The Minister of Legal Affairs and Labor, she said we have to be fair with our people, or frank with our people. We go cause serious trouble. She finds serious wasn't serious enough. She said we're going to cause irreparable damage to the economy. But Deacon is not settling down. He don't have time to socialize with his ministers in terms of politically and economic issues. So he have no time to discuss it. He on a plane seeing after his own business because he wants to reach billionaire. The Prime Minister of Grenada, it seems his main objective is to reach billionaire in 5 years. So he increased the pay of his members, so they have to keep themselves quiet. And they seems to accept the fact. That is why one of the young ministers saying, win, lose, or draw, a fix for life. I have never heard that from a politician. When I told you this group of people was vultures, you think it was a joke? When I tell you the Prime Minister is a fake, you think it was a joke? A fake. We bought a cat in a bag, we get a fake. A group of vultures that is arrogant and only self-serving. Win, lose, a draw, a fix for life. After 2 years, the unemployed sister, over $600,000 in a bank account. There are some other information that we have on others that we're still trying to sort out. Because you know, when we speak, we dare. The amount of property and things that they bought during that period of time, and some of them paying cash. So I always say to individuals, we cannot blame the NDC members alone. We have to blame ourselves as voters too. We voted political neophytes. They was very disrespectful. You know, they wanted to throw pee on people. Say, give them armchair. Let them go home. That is their elderly they're speaking to give armchair. You know. Give them armchair, they all get them out of the party. I understand they make a party, give the elderly people and they retire them. And this group of people are just greedy. Common thieves in the Grenada Development Bank and the National Lottery. What they did lacked sophistication. Because you could have gone and changed the regulation. So although what you do would have been immoral, it would not have been illegal. And they're just moving money around among themselves and recognize that they have to pay some people for good relationship. It saddens my heart. Because there's a number of people in the country that we believe walk the straight and narrow. Some of these people are associated with the National Democratic Congress. And you wonder how these people could stay in that band and don't call out to the government that what you're doing is wrong. It is blatantly wrong. And if you continue like that, corruption will spread to all the areas in the country. Once the board of directors of the Grenada Development Bank did what they did, the board of directors of the National Lottery and Gravel and Concrete says, my turn. Those people in housing say, that we time now. MIT get an opportunity to correct the bankruptcy and to make back millions. We hear of all the corrupt acts. Well, we're sorry for the chicken man because it was a good product. But since I heard initially that this project employed 200 people, I say somebody have to be crazy, grossly incompetent, or they're getting money or a lot of money passing through their hand. I said some people have to be crazy, grossly incompetent, or a lot of money passing through their hand. I think it was Kennedy Budlal in 2008, 2013 that said the NDC behaving as if they're taking coke. I have on many occasions questioned whether the Prime Minister of Grenada is under some mind-altering substance based upon what I see he's doing. Normal people not supposed to do that. So I was convinced that our Prime Minister might be under some mind-altering substances, and we have to be concerned. Even if you believe I'm just reasonable in asking, you have to be concerned. And I gave reasons, 5 or 6 of them, why I asked that. So we in Grenada have to be concerned. And I encourage members of the NDC, you don't have to be dismissive of what we say. Examine what we say and see if there is merit, if there is justification, and respond to it. We want to thank you again, and we encourage you to share, like, and subscribe to our program. And we're back with you again tomorrow between 12 and 1. Thank you very much.
With Francis Pierre, Real FM, ride the frequency. Talking truth, talking change, talking all that's real. With Francis Pierre at the wheel. Politics to faith, the latest trend.